The rise of aesthetics has started in 2010, which I believe started by like fashion based. They were fashion based basically. And everyone followed aesthetics to look a certain way when they're dressed up and all of that. But looking at aesthetics today, it feels kind of like a lifestyle thing, which sometimes it could be hard to attain or maintain. Looking at how youth today is kind of like relying on social media to shape their growth or perspective, whether in fashion, lifestyle, or anything, I find aesthetics very toxic. Keeping up with trends can be very exhausting, especially for people who would want to fit into the social media sphere. And also with the rise of influencers, it's not easy not to compare yourself with people out there, which I advise you don't, but it's inevitable, especially for people who are in their teens. And I do feel like aesthetics do play a huge role in social media as well, because it is also a trend, and a lot of influencers are into aesthetics. Another reason I find aesthetics a bit toxic is the fact that it's not easy to execute in real life. For an ordinary person like me, some of these aesthetics are not attainable. They're not really realistic. And a big reason for that is that they are not only, aesthetics are not only fashion based nowadays. Back in 2010, when they started being a trend, it was mostly based on fashion, where people can express however they would want to express themselves through fashion, and it wasn't aesthetic, you know. But now, in these days, aesthetics is more like a lifestyle thing, and literally how you maneuver everything else to fit into that specific aesthetic that you would want to find yourself in. So, take for example the clean girl or the it girl aesthetic.
You know those girls that always look clean, their skin is always glowing, their lips are always glossed, and they never ever look like they're wearing too much makeup?
I'm gonna talk about this one more because I found myself being victim of the not victim, but like I found myself comparing myself to those people, wanting to look like them, wanting to live a life like them. And the clean girl, it girl aesthetic, I found it very I realized that it emphasizes a lot on perfection, which who is perfect in this world? Literally nobody. But a lot of the things that it kind of pushes is perfection. Perfect skin, perfect daily routine, perfect schedule, perfect life, it's like you have to be a perfect person, which in real life that's not possible. Let me first talk about perfect skin, which I've been trying to attain for like years now. Because of that aesthetic, I find myself wanting to buy expensive products to kind of like help my skin to glow, be perfect, have no flaws, which I am a woman and I will break out. I have hormonal imbalances and all of that. So I am gonna break out. I'm not gonna have perfect skin. But I found myself falling for that because of this aesthetic. And I'm not saying taking care of yourself is a sin or it's a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. Some of the objectives of this aesthetics is actually positive, which they promoting taking care of yourself, promoting going to the gym, being a clean person and all of that. But the way that the aesthetic is pushing perfection is kind of like where the problem kind of starts, because no one is going to be perfect. The fact that they do not show the flaws of human beings or the flaws of being a woman is the problem for me. That's where it starts being toxic, because no one is going to be able to attain perfection ever. You do end up finding yourself buying all these products that are being promoted by the influencers that we follow on the socials, which I'm not saying they shouldn't promote whatever product they believe it works for them. That's up to them. But what it does for the audience, because there's a lot of people in this whole industry, and you find yourself not knowing what to buy, and then you end up buying everything just to attain that aesthetic. You kind of compare yourself now to how their lives are, which you forget that everything has a beginning. But because they are there and you're watching them at that point in life, you kind of feel like your life is not, you know, you, it's not lifing. So, what I'm trying to say is Aesthetics, especially the ones that I've mentioned, the clean girl and the it girl, and also the baddie aesthetic. I hate the fact that they kind of make you feel like if you don't fit in this certain aesthetic, you're not woman enough or you're not girl enough because you don't look that certain way. That's where I feel like it becomes toxic because now people are trying to be like that. And we kind of forget individuality because now everyone looks the same.
Let's talk about the it girl or the that girl trend that's going around all over TikTok. I feel like this trend can be very damaging because we all are unique, we all dress uniquely, and if we all become that girl, then we take away what makes us truly us and how we express ourselves, whether it's with creative outfits or makeup or hobbies. If we all start dressing and looking like the it girl, then we all look exactly the same, and what's fun in that? I think that we should all be uniquely ourselves, and I think that is the most beautiful thing we can be.
But I'm not saying promoting cleanliness, I'm not saying promoting clear skin or taking care of yourself is a bad thing, but how it's being done, how it's being portrayed, how it's not showing other sides of being human is kind of what makes it toxic for me. Because not everyone is going to have the life that you have, or not everyone is able to maintain a perfect life, because actually nobody is perfect. And you end up finding out that some of these people are faking the life thing. Some of them are faking the life thing, the aesthetics, just for the aesthetics and just for the Instagram and for the likes. And you, on the other hand, as the audience, you think that this is actually real. It's not always real, and not everything is perfect. Not everyone's life is perfect, and not everyone should look like that. So I feel like they are kind of toxic when it comes to that. Well, the sun kind of moved, but I wanted to talk about how this would most likely impact the teenagers, because you know how naive you are at that stage of your life and how you find almost everything cool, especially on the social media. We see the rise of these kids, it's not even teens actually. I have seen a lot of TikToks where little kids, literally kids, kids at the age of 12 going to Sephora. I mean, a lot of people have been complaining about this because what is going on, right? They're going on to Sephora.
Have you heard about Sephora Kids? It's the new fad where young boys and girls are buying facial products deemed unnecessary for their age.
I took my niece and my daughter to Sephora because I wanted to treat them. We're at Disneyland, but this is where the real magic happens. So I got them the Sephora collection lip balm. They were having a hard time deciding which flavor to get. Totally normal. Of course, I had to get them some sunscreen. We tried on some blush and then smelled all the perfume. We really like this one from Gucci. Of course, expensive taste. Either wanted the lip plumper. We said absolutely not. But we had so much fun going through and getting and treating them. Hand sanitizer, sunscreen, and then these cute lip balm balls from Sephora collection, and then there's other balls from Sephora.
With beauty standards becoming stricter, more people are doing their best to adopt trendy beauty routines seen on social media. This includes children between the ages of 8 and 14, whose skin only requires lotion and sunscreen, who have started to use advanced products for older and more mature skin. This has sparked a great debate online where users argue that minors and teenagers should not delve into the world of makeup due to the potential damage they could do on their skin in the long run. There are also those who don't mind and believe there's nothing to be scandalized about since they only see it as a simple taste and trend, especially if the children's parents authorize it. So tell us, would you let your children be part of
wearing makeup? Which it's not a bad thing to wear makeup, but at that age, the amount of makeup that they're wearing, it's actually concerning. And the reason I'm saying it's concerning is because imagine what this does to the kid when they grow up or when they reach their 20s. They'll never want to let go of makeup because they do not know how to feel beautiful without it. They don't know how to embrace their natural beauty, and that's actually very, very toxic. And you can't convince me that this is not because of these aesthetics. They're getting Botox. People at the age of 18 are getting Botox, lip fillers and all of that, just to fit in that aesthetic. I believe that's what makes it. I believe that's the push, because they're seeing all these influences in that kind of aesthetic and they would like to achieve it.
If you're in your 20s and you're listening to this and people are talking about preventative Botox, this is a hot take,
Okay.
but I do not believe in preventative Botox.
Go off.
I think that even if you were to start Botox at 38, chances are there are no deep static lines that wouldn't be corrected on the first dose of Botox. Even if you were to start, 18 years after you were 20. Now, some people will have some static lines, but it's these women in their late 40s, 50s, 60s that start Botox that they are not able to erase some of those static lines. But for the majority of women, if you go in at 40 for your first time, neurotoxin will erase those lines. It will paralyze the muscle. And if you've been taking care of your skin for those last 18 years, it has long-term benefits. If you're doing something from the time that you're 20 to you're 35 consistently with skincare, that will carry you into your 60s. And I just think that these young girls are doing the wrong things and investing in the wrong things too young, because your skin is aging regardless.
Right.
Even with Botox, your skin is deteriorating.
Right.
And if you are not putting things into place to keep up that collagen production, to really invest in the elasticity of your skin, preserving it, if you are not protecting it, you won't have wrinkles, but then you're wondering why the skin still sags, or it still is stretched out, or these pores are, pulled because you've done nothing to nurture and give back to that skin, or to kind of slow down that natural progression.
Which then, where is the kids? Where's the youth now when everyone is trying to be at a certain age? I realized that a lot of people are gravitating towards wanting to look 20, wanting to be in their 20s, which some of them have passed that age. Some of them have not yet reached the age, but they want to see themselves there.
Aging is so beautiful. I love and embrace age. It's easy.
I embrace my age and I embrace aging.
I love aging. It's amazing.
Aging naturally, just age gracefully. You know? Why are we all out here trying to be 21?
like LA? Yeah.
17?
I'm not 21.
Literally.
Look at this.
And
This
I'm
is 47.
natural and I embrace it.
Ugh.
You know what I'm saying?
Do you know what I mean?
Not enough people are
They're not
embracing
their
age.
age.
They're
It's
trying
like
to
we
be
are women
teenagers.
and we age, and
And
it's
that's
just
part of
embrace
life.
it. It is part of life.
Yeah.
People just don't
They
let
don't.
themselves be. It's just like stop going to the salon,
Salon,
stop spending the money.
Botox.
It's a
I would
waste.
never do that.
I would never get Botox.
How could you put foreign objects in
Yeah,
it?
that is unhealthy.
They can't even talk
That is
on
unhealthy.
But I find it very concerning for the teenage girls that try to look 20, because bro, at that age I was playing with dirt. But this is why I think the aesthetics are kind of toxic, because not only the audience is not only people my age, or people at their 20s, or people at their 30s. Kids are also watching. Kids have access to social media, and how they kind of portray beauty is kind of toxic, because now everyone at that young age is kind of programmed to be like, okay, to look beautiful you have to fit into this aesthetic, or you have to look like that. That is not nice. That is actually very toxic, let's be honest. So my high concern is about the little teenagers who will fall into this trap, into this aesthetic thing, and trying to fit into that, which honestly, beauty is subjective, honestly. So I'm really concerned on how these aesthetics are kind of shaping the perspective of the young people. As I said, people are relying on social media. We are on social media, and it's not possible to not be on social media at this day and age. Here's another thing that I think or believe that is kind of pushing people towards this toxic aesthetic, or people feeling like they have to fit into this aesthetic, is actually pretty privilege. I know this is very controversial, and but I feel like pretty privileges do play a role in how people would want to be perceived, or how they want to look, because we do realize that the certain people look the certain way. There is a rise of this TikTok beauty thing. When you look a certain way, you get more views, which TikTok is kind of pushing. and that is very toxic as well. But if you look at those people, most of them do fit into this clean girl aesthetic, if we're being honest, and that kind of does play a role on how other people's confidence kind of drop and how they would want to find themselves fitting into that aesthetic. You find people going to get Botox, you find people getting lip fillers to just fit into that aesthetic because they believe if I look this certain way, chances are I'm gonna get likes, chances are I'm gonna be looked at in a different way, chances are I'm gonna get that job, chances are I'm gonna be liked, you know. So I do believe that pretty privilege does play a role, and I have first-hand experience of that. Not saying that I get pretty privileges. I'm just saying how that does affect other people emotionally. You know, you find yourself not being favored just because you don't fit a certain beauty standard. And I do think that the clean girl aesthetic is also kind of like a beauty standard, if we're being honest, because you have to look a certain way. Okay.
This is Put a Finger Down Clean Girl edition. The more fingers that you have down, the more clean girl aesthetic that you are. Your go-to hairstyle is either a slick back or a bouncy blowout. You tend to wear neutral colors. You wear a more dewy makeup base. You prefer dainty minimalist jewelry. You journal at least once a week. You regularly do either yoga, Pilates, or hot girl walks. You have a neutral color nails right now, like a bubble bath, baby pink, white, or French tips. You own a pair of over-the-ear headphones. You have a self-care routine, and you own multiple loungewear and activewear sets. How many did you put down? Because if you got all 10, you are literally the clean girl.
But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and that was just my opinion, and that was just me voicing out what I think about aesthetics. Some people might not find them toxic, I don't know, but that's what I think, and that's what I've been seeing. Also, I have a younger sister. She's a teenager, and I've seen how much social media kind of influences her life overall, and I feel like it is a bit toxic. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this, because it does affect the young ones more than us. People at their 20s. I mean, we still get peer pressured into things, but we're better than them because everything to them is actually very cool, and they would like to look a certain way, to feel a certain way, to be validated by the society and all of that. Some of us can control that and kind of like bring ourselves to our core and be like, no, you don't have to look like that because everyone else looks like that. But for them, is actually very influential, you know, we all know that. But yeah, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like, comment down below what you think about this topic and if I should do more like this, and subscribe if you'd like to join the community, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.